We are here live at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. It's Tobago Thursdays on the Now Morning Show. We are in Tobago today, and we're chatting with the leader of the Innovative Democratic Alliance, Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus. Good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Doc, I wouldn't lie. You had a very busy night last night, and you're here early this morning to be here with us. Talk to us about the conversations with the Chief Secretary last night. What came out of that? What would you have liked to see a little more of?
Last night was quite interesting. There was a debate held with the PDP, Valley Augustine, and also Unity of the People, Nkosi Phillips. And for me, there are a few things that stood out for me. And one was the point I made that for Tobago to be able to champion and negotiate an effective greater autonomy position for Tobago, that the party, any party going in must not be aligned with any Trinidad party. And I made the point that right now, you have one set aligned with the PNM in Trinidad and another set aligned with the UNC. And therefore, the IDA is the only non-aligned party to truly negotiate, unite Tobago and negotiate on Tobago's behalf.
Right.
And it was interesting that, Fali did not deny the allegiance with the UNC at that time. And therefore, it's clear who is non-aligned and who the people of Tobago need to choose. Secondly, I really was disheartened that he chose to defend the position of the carnival on nomination day. He defended it by saying that people needed to free up and have social interaction. I'm a medical doctor, and everyone saw that the numbers were rising. And yet, on nomination day, I told my people, I said, do not come there with any crowd. We have to have responsible campaigning.
Right.
And so instead of accepting responsibility for what occurred, where both sides came out in large numbers, no social distancing, and plenty of them didn't have masks. He chose to defend it instead. And those things are a little bit concerning to me, because at the end of the day, responsibility, personal responsibility is a must, but leaders must also, guide your people into doing that.
One of the things we have personal responsibility. We have these leaders that, have responsibility as well. I'm curious as to what are some of the things that you think, also, especially after the conversation last night, what are the things going forward that you think Tobago needs to focus on to be able to do better or to change, if change is what is needed? I mean, people have been saying that change is what they want, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to focus more on the people, the economy, and the environment.
Right.
Those are the three pillars of the idea.
Okay.
I often say that we are going to focus more on the mindscape rather than the landscape. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't put up anything, a building. But I think over the last 20 years, we have invested enough in buildings, and many of them have become white elephants.
Right.
And so we need to now move into the realm of truly placing emphasis on our mindscape, our young people, and not just getting them to be certified at various levels and not just focusing on those at the academic level, but ensuring that after that is done, they have an opportunity to serve,
Right.
whether it is through private sector or public sector. We do recognize that private sector is the area that we need to place emphasis on to really lift Tobago to the next level, take our economy in a different direction.
Right.
And so we will be placing emphasis on growing that private sector, but growing it not just for those who are there, but creating a platform for more to come in and more successful ones. Yes, in the past they have given grants, but they have not given enough mentorship
Okay. Now,
with that grant to create the success that we need in the number of entrepreneurs
Yeah.
Okay.
needed.
well, you spoke about the last 20 years, and it's no secret that at some point in time you also served under the PNM.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question would be asked from the public, how come these things weren't done while you were serving?
Okay, I am one person. In my, where I served as the Secretary of Community Development and subsequently as the presiding officer,
Right.
persons will see my track record in terms of focusing on people development.
Right.
And that is what I would have done then. You know, and persons question, you know, why leave, why I should have stayed, or,
Yes.
you know, whatever. And I'm going to say, you know, I had the courage to leave when I felt things were not going in a way that I believed in. How many others of those who are there now have the courage to leave, or do they believe in what their leaders are doing?
Now, Doc, my question would be just to play devil's advocate, right? People would say that you had the courage to leave when you weren't selected. Why is it that timing? Is it just convenient, or is it just
No, but it's
coincidental?
Not, but it's coincidental. It wasn't the first time I wasn't selected.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was about the third or fourth time. You know, people forget the history from since 2013 election. So it started since then. So it's just a matter of timing. I do appreciate that I got the experience, and
Okay.
perhaps that is what I had to be there to do,
Yeah.
to gain the experience to truly do what I'm doing now, to present Tobago with a leader who not just has the capacity, but has the experience. Having been secretary at the level of the Executive Council, having been a presiding officer in the legislature, perhaps that is what Tobago needs right now. If we are clamoring for greater autonomy, you have to have someone who totally understands both ends of it. Additionally, I'm a medical doctor. We're in the midst of a pandemic.
Right.
I mean, who else? Additionally, the economy is devastated at this point.
Yeah.
We are flat, you know, and in medical terminology, we need CPR.
You need
Right.
CPR.
Yes, and having someone who already knows the operations of an executive council, it means when I get in there, I don't have to spend 6 months learning on the job.
Yeah. I'm curious. I want to just jump back to one of the points you made earlier about, you know, not having any links with the Trinidad and Tobago government, whether the opposition or the governing party. With regards to the Tobago Autonomy Bill and getting it pushed through, do you think that it's important to be able to have those collaborations and those conversations with the central government, because they are the ones that will have to vote, like we saw earlier this year?
Timing is everything, okay? And with an IDA administration coming in where you don't have either, where you don't have alliances on either side, with an upcoming general election, it means that you're in a strong negotiating position, that whoever is there, they're prepared to work to give Tobago what it wants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Because they will be, you know, they will want to show the people of Tobago that we deserve your support in the next 2 years because we have given you this. And that is why I feel that right now, this is the best time for the IDA, who's not aligned to either party, to go in and negotiate from a Tobago position,
Yeah.
not a party position, a Tobago position with the Trinidad counterparts.
Well, speaking of
Because
counterparts.
at the end of the day, both of them will have to vote.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well, speaking of counterparts, one of the things that we were speaking about off camera is the spend on political campaigns. And given that the other parties have been spending, what has been the IDA's strategy in getting the message across?
The IDA's strategy, how you campaign is how you shall lead. And so I said to my people, let us do person to person on the ground campaigning.
Right.
People have complained about the level of representation that they have had. And therefore I said, let us choose to go to the ground, door to door, person to person, and, you know, connect with people. And so that is what we have been doing. We have not had the resources because we are non-aligned. We have not had the resources to do the set of ads and campaigns and whatever across the board. So we had to find different strategies, and that's what innovative democratic alliance is about.
Yeah.
We are innovative. So you don't sit and say, well, I don't have money, I can't do this. You find other ways to get it done. And then at the end of the day, we are forming a greater alliance with the people of Tobago on the ground.
What are some of the things that the people on the ground want? Like, what do they want to see change? What do they want to see new? What do they want to see different?
Well, let's begin. They first of all want to see something new after 20 years. That has been the general consensus. Okay? But I think people are clamoring for people development.
Right.
We are taking it into the realm of education reform, because in order for us to have a sustainable future with diversification of the economy and a new Tobago that is modernized, you have to do it through the education system.
Right.
And for too long, our education system has just been this heavy model that we have received from elsewhere. But education is under the 5th schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. So we have a responsibility to treat with the education system to ensure that it meets the needs of our people and it's tailored for our development in the future.
Yeah.
And therefore, teaching a Tobago history, where we come from, who are our heroes, and I must, applaud Mia Madeleine for what she's been able to achieve in Barbados. And I'm saying to the people of Tobago, we certainly can achieve, a level of, growth in that regard. And also, in addition to our history, having our programs be relevant. So we intend to have a sports academy, because we have to understand that we have a lot of talent in Tobago. So why treat sports as an extracurricular activity rather than harnessing and shaping that young person to be a product of export elsewhere? And then that is how money comes back into the country.
Okay.
Additionally, meeting our communities, having community academies.
Right.
So we are taking vocational skills into the community. Trade, and we're not just teaching trade, we are aligning it with business classes, because we want people to think, I am not just learning this for a job, I could learn this to start a business for myself.
Okay.
And therefore you grow them from small businesses into small contractors, into middleman contractors,
Right.
and therefore you don't just have 1 or 2 people receiving all the contracts in Tobago.
Okay.
You're growing.
Well,
You're growing them.
we are a little bit short for time, and I have one final question for you. What does a THA led by the IDA look like?
A Tobago House of Assembly led by the IDA. Well, first of all, we don't know how much money will be left after all this wanton spending that has been done in the last couple of weeks. But we intend to ensure that we assess and provide the equitable resources for all. This is not about having a party card, but every single person in Tobago has the right to benefit at different levels from the resources we have on the island. You would have a THA that works closely with the people. In our first 100 days, we will be meeting with all organizations, the churches, the CBOs, the NGOs, all sectors.
Yeah.
Meeting with the people and developing a plan together in terms of what is short term, what is medium term, what is long term. IDA administration would see the holistic medical center for the hospital being born, where we are researching our traditional herbs and our traditional methods of treatment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And providing persons with an alternative. We saw during this pandemic that people want to try some of their alternatives to use. Why not study it and
So we
be
understand
able
the
to
benefits. Yeah.
provide it to the people? It has worked. Vervine is being sold on Amazon.
Yes.
Vervine is growing wild. But additionally, there is a market for utilizing the marijuana for medicinal purposes. And I'm saying to the young people out there, prepare yourselves for business, because we are going to need those plants that you're growing. We are going to need them in large amounts to be able to research and provide medicinal products for the community of Tobago. And by extension, you always have to think about export.
Yeah.
Tobago has 50,000 people. If we have a good product, why keep it for ourselves? So we are also going to be thinking about exporting that product, and therefore that is another way that
Another
we
source
will
of income.
grow the economy
Yeah.
from our people, our men on the street corners. Don't just be consumers. Let us be producers.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus, leader of the IDA. Interesting times ahead.
Very much so. We take a quick break and we come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Thank you so much, Dr. Angus.
Thank you for having me.